Most see the finished work. They don't see the years it takes to get there. If you know my work today, the frame, the installation, the finished wall, you might think it was always the plan. It wasn't. This video is about how I got here, why I made the choices I did, and what I've learned along the way. My name is Nana Kwame Brikrangeji. You can call me Bank, and I'm the founder of Design, Print and Finish, a business focused on high quality picture framing, wall installation, and presentation for homeowners, executives, families, corporate institutions, and academic institutions. I started my education from Deonsters International School. From Deonsters, I went to Laboni Secondary School, where I studied business management. At Laboni, looking back, that decision mattered more than I realized at the time, because even then I wasn't just interested in doing things. I was interested in how businesses work. After Laboni, I continued to the University of Cape Coast, where I studied business management. At that point, I didn't have a business yet. I mean, in UCC, I tried to survive by starting some few businesses. One very prominent one that succeeded for a while was a business I call errand runners. So the whole idea was I went to university hostels or the ladies hostel, and then I will take their gas cylinder, charge them for a small fee, and then I will take it outside campus, fill the gas cylinders, and then bring them back to the lady. If it was going to cost you, say, 15 cedis to go in and out, I would charge you, say, 5 cedis. That's a lot of savings for a student. So I got a lot of business doing that in bulk. That was my first instance of business management or handling my own business. This was a survival technique because at that time I wasn't having enough. And for somebody who comes from where I come from, we don't always have everything we need, or we don't always have the provision for it. Just we're in school and we were given the best we could afford at that time. So just enough money, print, and to get books. That's it. After university, I came back to serve my country, which is national service. I had my national service with Aquinas Secondary School, where I taught business management. That was about 2010. I graduated from UCC in 2009. I did my national service 2010. 2010, I taught business management at Aquinas Secondary School for a year. Teaching does something to you. You don't just learn the subject. You learn how to explain it into detail to others, how to break complex things down, and how to take responsibility for other people's understanding. That skill has stayed with me ever since. After national service, I made a decision. I didn't want to wait for permission. The truth was that, getting work in Ghana was difficult at that time. And I think it's still difficult for those of you in the market searching. I decided to jump into entrepreneurship. So I went directly into photography. Now, let me go back a bit. Growing up, my father used to have cameras in the house. He used to take pictures of the neighbors and, take group pictures of our family and stuff like that. So I think I had a thing for photography growing up. Now, coming back to national service time, I had a friend, or my best friend, still is my best friend, Mauli. He went to MEST, Meltwater School of Technology, and he met Kwame Pucho. I don't know, some of you may know him, Team 1000, Kwame Pucho of Team 1000. He saw the idea of photography from Kwame Pucho, where, Kwame Pucho was shooting weddings at that time. And my friend Mauli also, got interested in it. So he also told me about it. Photography is now kicking, it's starting up, so we can look into it. I thought the idea was good. I thought the idea was a good one because I had interest in creative stuff and I was unemployed at the time. So what do I have to lose? I didn't have the money to buy a camera at that point. But one interesting thing, during my national service time, I saved almost everything I earned. At that point, I think we're being paid roughly 150 or 170 cedis, something around that range. And for somebody who came from Newtown and from a humble home, I wasn't used to spending that kind of amount. To me, it was huge. 150, 170. I didn't know how to spend it. And the funny story is, the first time I got that money, I got paid my national service allowance. I felt, oh wow, I'm rich. I need to, blow this money. I need to spend on myself. I need to enjoy life. So at that time, the only place that you could, enjoy life was Papaye. So from Aquinas Secondary School to Papaye, it's like 5 minutes. I went to Papaye. I think Papaye maybe that time could be like maybe 5 CD or 7, something small. I bought Papaye. I think I went Papaye for like 3 days in a row or something. And at the end of the month, I still had about 100 CDs, 120 CDs, something like that. So I realized, this money is not to be toyed with, because I came from a home where my mom always told me, save, 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 save. Even if you wanted to go for a school party, my mom will ask you, how much have you saved so that I will top it up for you? There was no way I was going to get anything at home for free, 100%, apart from school fees and the things that my parents thought were their responsibilities. But if I wanted to do anything outside their responsibility, I had to contribute to it. So I came from that kind of background. So the whole national service for a year, I was able to save about 1,000 cedis. That was back then. At least every month I saved 100 cedis. The rest of the 50 cedis or whatever was on it, I managed it. And I came after national service with 1,000 cedis saved. So this is how I started my whole business into photography. Let's go back to I and Mauli. So Mauli introduced me to this photography idea. And at that point, he had internet in his house. He's an East Legon boy. I'm a Newtown boy. Most times I'll go to East Legon. I'll go to his place, steady. He will download a lot of PDF, read it, pass it to me. I'll copy with a pen drive, come to my house, then, manage to read. So that is how we learned photography. And then when it was time for me to make the leap, I told my mom, please, I have this amount and I want to top up to get something. I mean, a camera. So she gave me, I don't remember the numbers. I had 1,000 cedis at then. So she added some and then I ordered for my first camera. Mauli had already started. He was shooting a few events and going for parties, going for weddings and stuff like that. And I also joined him, assisted him. And then I got my own camera. I shot as a second photographer for him. Then I also branched into my own. That is where I started my first official true, business, which is bank photo. So I went into photography, not as a hobby, not casually, but as a business. So this was my first true experience with serious business. I did wedding photography, and with time, I started working with affluent clients and, well-to-do clients, people who cared deeply about quality, presentation, and trust. The wedding phase lasted for 10 years. I shot weddings and did a lot of events for about 10 years. I think now, a lot of the photographers have diverted into other things like myself, because this is one thing I will teach you for free. The wedding industry in Ghana is generational, maximum 10 years if you are not able to pivot into another generation. Let me explain. So I graduated in 2009 and then finished my service 2010. Around that time, most of my friends will be getting married. So the right thing for them to do if they know of your brand is to call you to shoot their weddings. It works like that everywhere. So if you are into wedding, you should have it in your mind that you are going to go for a good 10 years if you are really good, and then pivot into something else, maybe corporate work or documentaries or travel, anything, or just totally leave the industry. So if you want to last longer than 10 years in a specific industry, I think it works in a lot of industries, not just photography. You need to learn how to redefine yourself. After every 5 to 7 years, you need to reinvent yourself. I think that's the only way you can go and last more than 10 years. So that's a different topic for a different channel. So as I said, I lasted in the photography industry for about 10 years. Now, it was 10 years of working with demanding clients, learning how to handle pressure, understanding premium expectations, and most importantly, learning how people value memories. As I said, my photography work is still alive at bank.photo on Instagram, at bank.photo. You can check my work out. You need to go down to see some of my old work. And I had some milestones during that time. I taught myself photography. I taught myself how to do videos. And then I taught myself even how to fly drones. All these things were self-taught. So it goes back to the fact that if you really want to do something and you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. So that was my 10-year journey for photography. Now, during the 8-year, 9-year, I realized that the generation was coming to an end and I wasn't getting as booked as I used to be, because for 10 years, my classmates, the people who know me, the people who saw me on social media, all these things, they would have gotten married by then. So it was going back to the generation behind us. So new photographers were coming all the time from university, so they would also come and take up the market. When I realized that trend, I had to pivot. Now, naturally, photography comes with printing, and printing also comes with framing or a certain kind of finishing. So I decided to jump into picture printing and framing. That is how I went into design, print, and finish. But after years of photography, something became very clear to me. I wasn't just interested in capturing moments. I was interested in what happens after. What people do with their photos, how they display them, how they live with them. That curiosity led me me into picture framing. At first, framing was connected to photography. Then it became its own world. And eventually, it became my whole thing. And eventually, it became the main thing. So one of my biggest milestones when I was doing photography actively was being contracted by Nescafe through Now Available Africa, an agency that booked me for Nescafe. It was a project that they were running through, I think, 7 African countries, sponsored by Nescafe, to capture stories and memories of, I think, university students that wanted to share their story in the world. The best story will be picked and sponsored by Nescafe. I think starting from Ghana with some other creatives, starting from Ghana, went to Togo, Benin, Nigeria, and we went to Burkina, Mali, and we entered Senegal. So we drove. It was a very lovely, tiring, stressful experience, but it was worth it. It was about a month road trip from country to country. We spent 2-3 days in each country. I think Nigeria, we spent more. Then in Senegal too, we spent more because those countries are bigger. And then from Senegal, we flew back to Ghana. So that was one of the biggest achievements during my photography work that I remember. I mean, there's a whole lot that I did, but this one stands out. I did some other works too for BBC. I had some drone works that I think some BBC people bought, from me, and a lot of other things. So I was really very careful on how to produce good work, and that same attention to detail I brought into my framing business, because once you have eye for detail and you know what good quality is, it follows you everywhere you go. So now let's talk about design, print, and finish, DPF, how I got here. I've now been doing picture framing, installation, and presentation for about 7 years. So I did photography for 10 years. And during the last 2 years, I had the idea of starting the framing business. That's why framing, even though it's officially 5 years, it's technically 7 years. Okay? So I started it the last 2 years of my photography business. And then I left photography fully into framing after that 10 years. And this part is important. Nothing about this happened overnight. Framing taught me patience. It taught me precision, structure, long-term thinking, and respect for process. Because when you frame something, you are not rushing. You are deciding what deserves attention, what deserves space, what deserves to last. That philosophy quietly became how I approach business. One thing I have learned over the years is this: your journey only makes sense when you look backwards, when you connect the dots. Photography trained my eyes. Teaching trained my communication. Business school trained my thinking. Framing trained my patience. None of it was wasted. It was all preparation. So when I successfully launched Design, Print, and Finish online, I started it with my main assistant. So the same assistant, Amos. So I started Design, Print, and Finish officially online on Instagram. You can check it out. Design, Print, and Finish, DPF, on Instagram. Now, when I started Design, Print, and Finish, I was alone with my assistant, my main assistant, Amos Lawson, that I went through the whole photography phase. He's the same assistant that helped me start Design, Print, and Finish. How did we know this was a very successful or lucrative industry? We knew the skills we had acquired from photography, and we knew the quality of work. I knew that I had eye for detail because my photographs and my video and everything I did for my clients were premium, and I was only serving premium clients. So I knew I could bring the same energy, the same skill, the same attention to detail into framing. And that was exactly what I did. Paid attention to the kind of frames that we were going to use, the kind of borders that we were going to bring in, the kind of work we were going to even produce. Because bear in mind, I wasn't the first framing company in Ghana. I wasn't the only framing guy. A lot of people were into framing, but what I thought I could bring on board was these things that I already mentioned: attention to detail, quality. Because a lot of Ghanaians don't pay attention to details, and they like the whole idea of, this is nothing. Oh, this is just a minor thing. Oh, it's not, let it go. Oh, that kind of behavior is something that worries our industry. So DPF started solely on Instagram. With my assistant, we started selling frames mainly from our photography clients. So when they did their weddings, wanted to frame the pictures, and then they would call us or we would suggest it to them. So people started getting ideas that, they could frame their pictures instead of just printing it and putting it in an album. And back then I used to write photo books for them too. So I added in my packages. Then picture framing became became a thing. So I got a few clients, and one breakthrough was a client. I know he's in government. So he gave us a big gig. At that time, he ordered about, if I'm not mistaken, about 40 frames, and that was huge. So he wanted to do something crazy in his house, and he called on us. And that thing really gave me proof of concept that this thing will work. This YouTube channel is not here to chase trends. It's here to share what I've learned during the years of my design, print, and finish picture framing. Help you make better decisions for your spaces. Show you how framing actually works. And explain why certain choices feel premium and others don't. If you are building a home, office, or a legacy, this channel is for you. If you are an institution, a university, and you want to frame your graduation certificates properly for your students, you believe in quality and legacy, this channel is for you. This channel is going to focus on a lot of things, from family homes and individual houses. So if you have ideas, things you've seen online, concepts you have in mind, and you don't have any other company to execute these ideas for you, yes, call on Design, Print, and Finish. We would help you walk through the process, come for consultation, pick your idea, elaborate it for you, and then execute for you. That is why we are here. If you are an institution, let's say a corporate institution, you have offices, your boardrooms, and your CEO's office, it has to tell a story. All these things are statement pieces. When someone walks into your conference room and someone walks into your office, what story do you want them to see? Choosing what place on a wall is a very huge decision. Let's help you do that. Trust that these pieces are connecting, even if you can't see it yet. Thank you for watching. This is just the beginning. If you found this helpful, subscribe. More practical conversations like this coming.